So we're going to start, and I don't know if everybody has like a ball that they want to use, but if you have a tennis ball or something, you could use a tennis ball or a little squeezy ball of some sort to massage your feet on. I'll show you how you might do that very simply sitting in a chair. You can also use your hands if you don't have a ball. So if you have one, and I'm just going to grab this one ball. This is probably not the ball that I would prefer to use. It's kind of big, but tennis balls work really well, or even like pet balls work fine. You can sit in a chair, and probably sit in a chair anyway, because it's going to make it the easiest to get to your feet, and put the ball under your foot and just roll it. You're just going to kind of roll it from the toes to the heel. If you don't happen to have a ball, just cross your foot over, and you're going to use your hands to start to massage the sole of your foot. So the first thing that I notice is that my foot is very cold. It got below freezing last night or tonight. I think it's supposed to get down to the 30s. So if you're using your hand, just try to get to all of the surfaces, the toes, just feeling the pads of the toes, and feeling through the ball of the foot. Noticing if there's any spots that feel a little sensitive. And specifically, you might find those sensitive spots in the arch of the foot. So especially right down the middle of the arch of the foot, there's a very thick band of connective tissue. If you've ever heard of or have had something called plantar fasciitis, that's what the plantar fascia is. It's this band that kind of holds up the arch of the foot. It can get very sensitive. So instead of poking into the foot, what I like to do is sort of slide along that line. So from heel to ball of foot, I'm just using my thumbs to kind of press and slide. And you can move kind of from the center to the edges and back to the center a few times. And then of course your heel. Heel is pretty much a little, it's very thick padding right there. So you might not feel as much on the heel unless you have an issue there. Okay, and then we're gonna just keep that ankle crossed over, and this time everybody's gonna need to use the hand on the foot instead of the ball. So you've got these different joints in the ball of your foot itself. So if you can stabilize your ankle with your same hand, and then just kind of move the toes. I know I'm trying to get it so where you can see what I'm doing here against this background. So I'm just gonna flex the toes with my opposite hand, kind of pushing them back, and then using the hand to curve them down. So I'm gonna try to move the joints of the toes. And you might observe in your own foot, does your big toe move as much as the other ones do, or does it seem a little stiffer? And you can even move, the big toe by itself, and then the other four toes rather, they tend to kind of, they almost act like a single unit. Good, and then let's just take a hold of the foot. Now we've done this before. If you want to try the feeding the fingers through the toes, you can. If your feet are sensitive, this may not feel very comfortable though, but I have my left foot up and it's my right hand, and I'm going to take my index finger between my big toe and the second toe and then try to feed the rest of the fingers through the other toes. Now stay toward the first knuckle of your finger. Don't go down into the webbing, because if you go into the webbing of the hand, it's really harder. And I'm going to stabilize the ankle again, and I'm actually going to try to rotate the ball of the foot around. It's not the ankle, it's just the ball. And it might move a lot, and it might not. And be gentle. Good. And then move the hand off the ankle and let the ankle come to the outside of your thigh, and then use the hand to actually rotate the whole ankle now. So you're like rotating, like you're stirring that ankle around. Do a few times one way and a few times the other way. So like our hands, our feet have a lot of nerve endings in them. In fact, if you think about that there are things called marma points in our joints. In fact, the chakras are a marma point. They're an energy center. And there is a marma point in the ankle that helps to produce, it stimulates the production of synovial fluid in all of the joints in the body. This is something that comes from Ayurveda. Okay, so then go ahead and let's just use the hand to flex the foot all the way. Flex the toes, flex the ankle, and I'm just kind of holding it there. And then use the hand to point the ankle and pull the toes kind of down like you're trying to make a little curved foot. You feel a stretch along the front of the shin. Try to keep the foot and the ankle and the knee all in the same plane. We're not like pulling it up or pulling it down. Good. And then let that go and just wiggle the toes. And take a second to let that leg come down. And what we're going to do now is just put the feet down. I'm right on the edge of my chair. And I'm just going to lean over my legs and just kind of notice, what does that side that you worked on, does that side of your back feel any different? What if you sat back up again and took the other foot forward and put the heel on the floor and held the chair on the sides here and flex this ankle and do that same action, but keep your torso more at a right angle to your legs so your body is more extended. Notice your hamstring on that side, hamstring and calf muscle, and then sit up and do the other foot and notice if the side that you worked on is any less tight. Now, we didn't do a thing to the hamstring, but when you stimulate the connective tissue in the foot, it actually helps to loosen some of the connective tissue that goes all the way up the back of the body, and it actually connects, and there's a line of it that connects to the eyebrow. Okay, let's try the other side. So toes. And ball of the foot. And if you are like me lately, since we've been home, I don't wear shoes very much anymore, and it has not been good. I notice that my feet, if I'm barefoot all the time, or if I'm not wearing any kind of supportive shoes inside the house, that my feet actually get a little tired and a little sore. And then when you get to the arch, you can do that little stroking again with both thumbs, just sliding it through the center of the arch of the foot from heel to ball, and then moving a bit wider, just a little wider toward the edge, and then back to the center. And then moving back to the heel, just noticing what's there to feel there, if there's anything to feel there. The heels tend to be pretty sturdy, not a lot of sensation unless there's an issue, a heel spur or something. Good. Alrighty, and then let's go ahead and just hold the toes. We're going to just let the hands help to flex the toes. I'm just pressing back on them. And then curl them under. And push back. And then start to feed those fingers in. So the index finger goes between the big toe and the second toe, and then you just go with the other four, or the other three fingers. Okay, so that's just creating some spaciousness. And then we can start to stabilize the ankle joint, and you might even want to move it back so that the joint is right on top of your leg, and then start to move that ball of the foot in a circle. And go both directions, of course. And then instead of stabilizing the ankle, stabilize the shin, move the ankle off the outside of the knee so that you have room to rotate the whole foot around in a circle. Stimulating that ankle. Good. And then let's go ahead and let go. One more time, we're just going to flex the foot and the toes at the same time. So the ankle flexes, the toes flex. You can kind of hold your heel here. And then do the pointing. And think about that toe going straight away from the knee. So try not to pull up or down on the foot, and pull the toes in and point the ankle joint. Good. Okay, and then let's go ahead and let that leg come down. So again, sitting up tall, just drape the torso over the legs, see how that's feeling, specifically in the lower part of your back. And then sitting up, and let's take again, the side that we didn't just do, the first leg, foot out. I'm right on the edge of my chair. I'm gonna hold the sides, ball of the foot is lifting up, and I'm gonna lean out over. Now the heel is kind of digging forward, and the ball of the foot is also, if it hurts the knee, lift the knee just a tiny bit. And then sit up and let's change legs. So heel down, foot active, and lean forward and check the hamstring. Okay, and then bring yourself back up again. Now, what we're gonna do when we get down on the floor, I'm just gonna show you here, because once you lay down, it's gonna be hard for you to see what's happening. We're going to actually take the block, and for most of us, it's probably more comfortable to have it narrow between the legs. We're gonna use this as a spacer. So this is gonna help us to really feel like the solidity and the firmness of the legs. We're gonna lay with our feet against the baseboard and lay down on the floor. You can have a pillow. We're gonna add in, now don't do this yet, because if you do it now, you won't be able to get down. You're gonna add a strap, and you're gonna just loosely tie it around where the block is. So the strap is gonna keep the legs parallel. The block acts as the spacer, okay? So wide up that high, usually our pelvises are not quite that wide, so just don't do it where it actually is painful on your legs. And have the block kind of parallel to the length of the leg so that the strap can go around it pretty easily. So if you make your way down to the floor, measure how far away to get from the wall. You can throw your pillow back there if you'd like. Kind of scooch in with your hips and lay down, and then you want to be just like a tiny bit too close. We want there to be some wiggle room to push away. So when you get a little too close, I'm going to go ahead and roll back over, sit back up again, and bring that block narrow width, parallel to the thigh, right at the top, and then the strap is going to come over, and you can just tie it. You don't have to use the buckle necessarily. Make sure that where the strap crosses your leg, it's in a comfortable place. And actually, I don't think I can get this tight enough tying it, so I think I am actually going to use my buckle, just because it might be a little less to mess around with. If we have the buckle, I guess we might as well use it. Okay. Okay, so snuggle that in. It shouldn't be uncomfortably tight. And then lower yourself back to the floor. Make sure that the heels are on that wall. And push the feet into the wall and straighten the legs. And you're going to feel your sticky mat drag your shoulder blades and drag your sacrum down toward the heels. So that should feel very good. Lay your hands on top of your thigh bones, right above where the strap is, and just let the touch of the hands encourage the top of your thigh bone to drop down toward the back of the strap. Now check, does that make your knee feel strange? Does that do anything anywhere else in the body? It may feel like you arch your back more to get that to happen. So just kind of observe how things change. Press into the feet. Feel like you're spreading through your toes. So the ball of the foot is nice and broad. The legs, the quadriceps, the front of the thigh muscles are nice and contracted. And then start to draw your belly in and up. And let's take the arms up over the head. Settle your shoulder blades into the floor. And any amount you can go up and over. If your shoulders are not ready for that yet, clasp your hands together and just bring the knuckles down to the floor by bending your elbows. Or you can keep your arms extended and start to reach. Now the more you reach with your arms, the more your back arches. So resist that by dropping into the legs. So we call this Tadasana, Urdhva Hastasana. It's basically mountain position with the arms up over the head, even though we're laying down. All right, and then let those arms come back down. Now we're going to leave this where it is. Carefully use your tummy, pull in, pick up the knees, drop the feet to the floor, and then just walk the feet slightly closer to your hips and stop. And I'd still like for you to squeeze the block just a little bit. So when you squeeze the block, the weight goes onto the inner edge of the foot. So just notice that. Now, can you push out into the strap and notice that the weight goes on to the outer edge of the foot? Now we're going to try to do both of those in equal measure. Now I'm going to adjust my strap just a little bit lower because I'm feeling like my knees are going too wide apart. So lower and tighter for me, it's more around the middle of my block now. And I'm going to see if I can squeeze and push at the same time. Now technically it seems like it wouldn't be possible, but can you lightly squeeze, ground the inside edge of the foot, and lightly press out and reach the pinky toe out to the side, and just feel that is your legs become very clear with what they're doing. Okay, now take your pillow out from behind your head and bring your arms down to the sides, elbows might bend, and let's just take a little lift. Is it easy or challenging to lift your hips up off the floor with all of this blocking and strapping going on? You don't need to go up very high. Just try to get airborne, come back down, and then just relax everything for a moment. So the second time, I'm going to slide my block slightly further down away from my pelvis, just because, the very, very tippy top of our thighs is a little fleshy, and that's not feeling great for me today. So I'm just going to move everything down a tiny bit so that's not on the sensitive fleshy part of the upper thigh. So it's still there though. I'm still got my strap there. I'm going to actually, because of that, now my knees can bend a little bit further, so my feet might come in closer. Let's try that again. Squeeze, ground the inner feet, press into the strap, ground the outer feet, and let all of that work just allow your pelvis to float up off the floor like it's a little helium balloon. And again, I'm maybe coming up a third of the way. And then releasing again. We're going to do that one more time. If you still need to move things, if it didn't feel right, if it's too tight, too loose, make adjustments. And one more time. Squeeze the block, drop the inner ball of the foot into the floor. Push the legs out into the block, drop the outer edge of the foot into the floor, and let all of that work just lift the pelvis straight up. Now, as the hips come up, the feet feel like they're plugged down into the ground. You're not rolling in or rolling out with the legs. Everything should feel very neutral, strong, and stabilized. All right, come on down. Let's loosen up the strap. Just pull the buckle back and go ahead and move the block out of the way. And then just use your strap. I'm going to slip it behind my knee and just pull it, and that's going to draw my knees into the chest. Okay, so from here, you can take the strap off of your legs and just lay it to the side. And go ahead and keep holding on to those knees. Rock just a little bit from side to side. It kind of widens across the lower back area, the top of your buttocks. Now, we still have this wall hopefully in the right position, or I should say we are in the right position. Can we take our left leg back down there and find that wall? If I'm reaching for it, you might want to get closer so that you do that little push again. So you actually have to work to straighten your leg, and you want that leg to feel like it is buried in the wall, and that right knee is going to come into the chest. So from the inside of your groin on the straight leg, feel like you're reaching all the way down into your heel. From the outer hip, reach down into the outer heel. Take the hands behind the right thigh, lift that foot up, and actually if you want to use your strap for this part, you certainly can. You can give yourself a little help here. Just take the looped part of the strap over the ball of the foot, hold the back of the loop lightly, and we're going to pump this leg a few times. So I'm changing my mind. It might work better if the loop is not on the foot, if the loose part of the strap is on the foot, so you have more space. So I'm going to reach and bend. So I'm bending and I'm pulling with my elbows to the ground, and then kick diagonally up toward the ceiling, stretch the calf, and then bend. Resist on the bending. So pull with the strap, push with the foot, and then let the pushing of the foot win as the leg starts to reach forward. So this should feel like work. And then let the pull of the strap win as the knee comes closer in. And do that one more time. Push the leg. And find an angle that feels like it is a nice stretch for your hamstring. It might need to be a little higher. Soften that knee if you need to. Okay, let's take the strap off, bring that knee back to the chest. Push the other foot into the wall. And put the right foot back to the floor. Bend the left knee and put that foot on the floor as well. So now you're back to the center, and if you need to adjust things to feel neutral, go ahead. All right, you might be more aware of your left leg from that work. Let's go ahead and even ourselves up here. Take your right foot to the wall. You want to have to work to get your leg straight. So you could scooch in, heel to the floor, and push. Shoulder blades, sacrum being dragged down the back by your mat. And then other knee comes to the chest. We'll go ahead and put the straight part of the strap across the other ball of the foot, holding it with one hand on each side of the knee. And we're going to create a little resistance here. Now, as your left knee comes in, does your right knee pop up off the floor? If so, keep pushing. Inner thigh to inner heel on the straight side. Outer hip to outer heel. And then start to move that leg, the left leg. We're going to reach up, let the leg win a little bit by pushing up, and then let the hands win. Pull the knee closer into your torso. Like a little tug of war happening here. And what this is doing is we're still getting the stretch, but it's actually engaging those muscles more. So feel what muscles push the leg to extension and which ones work when you draw your knee into your chest. And one more time, reach it out. Okay, when you're out, go ahead and find the angle that feels appropriate to you this morning. Flex the foot, you can soften that knee. We're looking for a hamstring stretch and a calf stretch. Are you still pushing your other leg straight? Good, and then let's put that knee back into the chest. We'll take our strap off. Can get rid of that for now. And let's put the left foot to the mat, right foot to the mat as well. And just kind of tap your balls of your feet against the mat for a moment. Wiggle the toes. Pull the feet towards the center line and allow both of the thighs to roll outward. Just without support, we're just going to pause there and see what that feels like. Just notice the stretch on the inner groin area. Good. And then bring everything back to the center. Once again, we'll take those knees into the chest and rock from side to side. Roll yourself over and come on up to the knees. And let's take a blanket. So we're going to have to, again, kind of measure how far away from the wall to be. So I'm just going to put my blanket in the middle of the mat. I'm going to move this chair back a bit here. I'd like to get into a position where I can do like a bird dog with my leg behind me with my foot on the wall. So come to an all fours position and take a leg back. Oh, that's actually about right. So you want to have just exactly the same position you just came out of, but you're now facing the floor instead of facing the ceiling. So measure that. You can also try both sides because our legs are often not exactly the same length. And then go ahead and stay in that all fours position. Now again, take care of your hands. If you need to be on fists, do that as well. Okay, find a nice straight spine. Lift the belly in. Stream your toes behind you. And let's just do a couple rounds of cat-cow. So inhale and arch the back. Lift up that tailbone. And as you exhale, draw the belly in and round the back. So can you find the split second where you are in a neutral spine on your way from cat to cow and on your way from cow to cat? So go slow enough that you can kind of feel, okay, there's neutral, and then you keep moving into the back bend or whichever one you're on. And as you exhale, you can feel, okay, there's neutral as I come into the forward bend. All right, finish with the back bend one more time. Go through neutral, arch the spine, and then as you breathe out, come to neutral and stay in neutral. And notice, where do you have to self-correct? So for me, I have to like lift my belly and pull my ribs toward my navel and kind of puff up my middle back, I guess, right at the back of the rib cage. And I also have to kind of puff up between my shoulder blades to keep my chest from sinking downward. All right, take your right leg back behind you. Just take the foot to the floor for a moment first. Open up the sole of the foot, let the toes flex. And then reach that foot up onto the wall. Now, if you need to lean back a bit, that's okay. You can bring your hands with you if you're not quite close enough. Can you get your heel right at the same height as your hip? Definitely not higher. Lower would also work though. And push. Now put some weight into your right hand and lift your belly, and then take your left arm forward. Now if you want a little bit of help with this, you can put your block out and under your hand and rest it there, or you can hold it aloft without the support, your choice. Look down, not forward, and feel strong and sturdy and lengthen through the back of the body. And then bring that hand back down, and let's take the knee a little forward of the other one. So slide it up and just kind of let the pelvis start to drop down just a tiny bit. This isn't pigeon, but we're kind of approaching that idea. We're gonna let my thigh is gonna come closer to my heel. My other leg is gonna slide slightly back. So this is flexing my knee and flexing my hip, but my foot is under my hip. All right, and then let's come back to the center. We might need to double check our distance again, just see if you're in the same spot as you were. And then if you use your block, move it to the right. So hold on, somebody's trying to come into the class. Okay, take your left leg back and reach that foot to the wall. Oh, I ended up too far away. Reach that foot to the wall, push, push, push. So Meryl, hang on, hun, we're gonna get off the floor in just a sec. Right hand go forward, lift up that belly and reach. Push into the floor with your hand, push into the wall with your foot, lift up through the belly. Do you feel the top of your hamstring contracting right under your sit bone? All right, hand down, knee down, and just slide it straight forward. Don't turn it out, just go straight under you toward the front of the mat, and then slide the other foot back just a couple of inches. So you kind of sit closer. You don't have to touch it, but sit your thigh closer to your heel. And this is like a miniature pigeon, kind of half, almost like a little lunge. A little bit of a back bend. Okay, bring yourself back up to all fours. Now, option here to do a little downward dog if you want to. I'm just going to move my blanket out of the way. If you would rather be on the chair, go ahead and stand up. Hold the edges of the chair and step back. If you'd like to do this on the wall, I invite you to crawl backwards until your feet are almost touching the wall. You don't want your toes on the baseboard, but they're just in front of it. You want your heels to be on the wall. So as you're ready, you're going to push yourself up and prop your heel up like it's on a stair and push up through your hips, wide shoulders, hands are grounded. Feel the hamstring stretching, and then as you like to, you can either straighten one leg at a time or you can try to lift both hips up. And feel like your feet are basically not having to overly flex at the ankle. They're more of a neutral ankle here. So that does sometimes help our hamstrings feel longer. All right, and then go ahead and come back down. Now we're just coming down so that we can stand up. So come down and make your way over to your chair. And we're gonna go ahead and stand up. And if you need to use that chair to help you or your blocks, just take your time until you come up to standing. Okie dokie. So why all the really intense leg work when we're talking about being grounded? Well, for many of us, especially as we age all together, and I might need to adjust this now that I'm standing so it doesn't chop my head off. We tend to feel destabilized on our feet, unfortunately. We have falls, we stumble, we feel imbalanced. And a lot of our work in yoga is to try to create a stable foundation with our lower body. So if you could take your block again. Now we're not going to use the strap this time, but you do have your block. You could also use a rolled up towel if you don't have a block. And this time I'm going to take it slightly at a different position. I'm going to have it still in the narrow distance, but instead of being the way we had it before, which was like this, I'm going to have it this way. Because now it doesn't matter if it sticks out behind. And bring it up as high as you comfortably can between the thigh bones. And I'm going to stand on my sticky mat. You definitely want to be on the stick of the sticky mat. So take just a peek at your toes and see if you can play around with how you orient your feet. So there's all kinds of different reasons why you might want to stand a little bit parallel. Some people prefer toe in, some people prefer toe out. For my body, I like to have my heels wider than my big toes, so they're a little kicked out. What that does for me is it feels like my lower back is wider. I don't feel like I'm hunching under so much. So I've got my big toes just a teeny bit in, not a lot. And as I bend my knees shouldn't like collapse inward or outward. They should basically go straight forward. So what we're gonna do, we turn to the side. We're just gonna slide the hands down to the knees and sit back like your block is gonna go back behind you. So you kind of squat down, lift your belly, and only go so far down as it feels good to do. You can also hold the chair if you need to, and then stand yourself up. Now what you want to feel is that your feet stay plugged into the floor. You don't roll into the outer edge and you're not rolling onto the inner edge. Okay, so let's try that again. Stand up, squeeze the block. Can you squeeze the block and let the inner edge of the feet drop down, and then reach the outside edge of the feet into the floor, and then go ahead and squat down. Now what the block does is it reveals all of the imbalances that we have in our legs and feet. So if you feel like things aren't going together, they probably aren't. Mine are not. And I can tell, oh my gosh, like that wants to turn, this other part wants to grab. There's all kinds of funny things going on here. So let's just do that a couple more times, just as an information finding exercise here, just noticing how the knees feel. Hopefully as we continue to do it, our muscle memory will turn on and things will start to even out a bit more. So a little bit of a chair and standing. Okay, last time as you stand up, try not to lock the knees, kind of settle your weight into the whole foot. All right, keep the block there, keep squeezing the block, lifting up through the belly, and let's take the hands, go up on top of your head, and clasp the fingers and drop them onto the crown, and then hang your shoulder blades down. So from your feet to your crown, can you make more space without throwing yourself into a back bend? So don't throw your pelvis forward, keep your block where it was, squeeze the block, and just pause there and notice. You might want to close your eyes even. Cultivate a very stable, steady sensation of standing. You might sway, that's fine, keep breathing. So what would it feel like if you were just so strong and stable that nothing could knock you over? No matter what happened around you or to you, or even within you, you just felt like you could handle it. Feel capable, calm. And let's let the eyes open again and let your left arm come down beside you and reach your right arm up toward the ceiling and just lean the upper body over. So as we take more weight into one leg, try to lengthen through the other side. And even though we're kind of moving in space here, we're still not going to feel destabilized. We still feel very strong and sturdy. And then let's come back to the starting position. Try not to grab the mat with your toes. If you feel your feet like reacting, just kind of relax them again. And then left hand, other side, whatever that is for you, reaching up with one arm, down with the other, and reach over. Good, and then back to center. This time let center come with the arms down. Okay, one more thing. I'm facing my chair, so if you aren't facing your chair, go ahead and make your way to that position. We're going to do that downward dog shape one more time with this block in between the legs. So carefully come over, grab hold of the sides, squeeze those thighs together, and step your feet backwards very slowly, just miniature steps. step, step, step. Heels are going to stay grounded. Remember that little chair extension we did? Do that again. Lift the heels off the block, bend the knees, and then push back. Push the block straight backward toward whatever's behind you, the wall if it's back there. And see if your legs will get a little more extended. Lift up through the belly, keep your back nice and long. Feel like the inner leg is long, the outer leg is long, and then do that one more time. So lift your heels, kind of come halfway forward, put more weight on the hands, like that chair position, but we're just a little tipped over. And then exhale and push back. Nice straight legs, reach, reach, reach. Long back, lift up through the belly. Good. And then let's just start to do a bit of a time. Your legs back, your hands back to your legs, and let's go ahead and stand up and take those arms straight up over the head. Now pretend the block is still there. Legs are even. Notice if it feels harder to do this without the block. Reaching up and bring the hands down behind you. And either just reach behind you, palms back, or if you have a little bit more flexibility in your arms, you might bring your hands like you've got back pockets. Slide your hands down your back pockets. Now we're not trying to push the pelvis forward. We're actually trying to keep the pelvis in place and just lift the chest and look up toward the top of the wall. So leaning back, you still feel stable. Good. And then let the hands slide all the way down. Maybe shake those arms out. And just take a couple little steps in place. So undo all of that. Undo that muscle memory. Kind of shake it all out. Alrighty. So let's take, I'm still going to use the chair here. If you feel like you want to do more work today, you could use 2 blocks instead of the chair. But chair's going to make this feel much, much easier. You also have an option to put your blanket as a heel support. So we're going to do pyramid position, and that's a standing pose. We haven't done this one in a while. I like to put my block, sorry, not my block, that's not a block, it's a blanket, behind me. And it's kind of as wide as my sticky mat is. And basically, the heel is going to rest on it. So this just gives your foot, again, having the heel elevated, you don't have to do quite so much flexion with your ankle. It can be a little bit more of a neutral position with your foot. So I'm going to take my left foot onto the blanket. The toe is turned slightly out. Now it's going to be a little bit destabilized here as we try to get into the position. Sorry, I don't know how to turn that off where I don't have to come back up to the computer again. And I'm going to step forward, and I inch and forward. Make sure your legs are wide enough apart widthwise. And just take a second to bend both knees and dig that back heel into the blanket and push. All right, now reach the arms out and up. You can always stop halfway up if that feels more stable for you, or all the way up. And reach that back leg like it is buried into the floor. Soften the front knee and come down to the chair. Now you also have blocks on the chair. If you don't want to go that far, you can go to your blocks. Just make sure they're stable. So the point of this position isn't necessarily how far down your torso goes. It's the position of the legs. So your torso is just, the further down you go, the more it adds stretch in the legs. So you decide how far down you'd like to go today. And then take a second to stabilize the hands. Bend the front knee partway toward the seat of the chair, but don't lose your back foot. And then re-straighten that front leg. So we did this on the back with the strap, right? Same idea. You're going to bend just the front knee, back leg stays long. Notice where that feels like a stretch through your hips. And then extend the front leg. Good. All right, stay there. Lift your belly up. And instead of going down further down, can you go further forward? So my blocks are kind of in my way here. I'm just going to drop them to the floor here. I'm just going to walk my hands out or to the back of the chair. So a little bit further out, and just notice what that feels like. It's a bit more of a hamstring stretch on your front leg. Lift your belly. Good. Okay, now hold the sides of the chair. Bend the front knee. Can you take a small step in with your back foot? So just step it in part way Keep holding everything. Make sure you're not too close with your hands to your foot. So if they're like right beside each other, you might need to step your front foot back a little bit so you've got some space. We're going to see, can we lift up our back leg at all? So maybe just the toe goes onto the blanket. That's perfect. What I want you to do is bear more weight on the one leg. Now, if you feel okay in that back leg, hamstring can help you. You can lift your leg up, or you can keep your toe down, your choice. Try to straighten the standing leg. Notice where that is challenging. Probably outside of the buttock, back of the thigh. Good, and then bring that back leg under your hip. Make sure both feet are kind of under their own hips. And then let's lean the pelvis backwards and just bring the hands down onto the seat of the chair. Now you decide how far forward you want to go. Once you get into the basic shape, you can stay here. You can let your belly come down to your thighs. You can extend your elbows if you don't want that much of a stretch. And if you want more in the legs, you can lift your hips up a little higher. Good. And then to come up from that standing forward fold, again, bend the knees. That takes the pressure off. Walk the hands back up your thighs and go ahead and stand yourself up again. Stand up. Maybe wiggle out the pelvis. Good. Shake out the arms. Wiggle the toes. Feel your right leg. Does it feel any different than the other side? Notice again when you just stand, you're starting to hopefully feel very, very stable and grounded. That's what we like, feeling grounded and capable and confident in the body. Okay, other foot. We're going to step a little further forward with the right, the other side, whatever that is for you. Again, if you need your blocks on the chair, you certainly can have them up on the seat. I'm going to take my other foot back, and the heel is on the blanket. The toe is slightly turned outward. And make sure that you've got at least body's width distance between your feet, right to left. And then soften the front knee. And we're going to go ahead and dig that back heel into the blanket and extend the front leg. Higher the hands, the easier this gets. Bend the front knee. Extend the front knee. One more time. And you might notice that one of your legs is feeling a little less. It doesn't like this as much, and that's normal. So just observe. Maybe one hamstring is tighter. Maybe one hip is a little bit not as comfortable. Just observing all those things. Now, if you're okay here and you feel like you want to go down further, again, don't go down, go forward. So you could just take the blocks just a teeny bit further out. Reach that foot back in the back leg. Keep your back long, lift your belly up. Shoulders down. Good. And then soften the front knee. Now, I am going to, just because I've got fairly long arms and long legs, I'm just going to bring my hands down to the corners of the chair. I'm going to let my front foot actually step back because I'm pretty close to my seat and I don't want to keep my shin, don't want it to hit it. So then bring the weight into the front leg and see if you can straighten your knee. Now you can still be up here on the blocks, just make sure that they're stable. That's totally fine. Back toe on the blanket. Try to put more weight on your left leg or your front leg, whichever that is, and lift the belly, and maybe that foot floats off the floor just by a fraction of an inch. Gorgeous. Everybody breathe. Keep your hands down. Keep looking forward. Good. And then bring that foot down and step that foot under you. And take, before you stand up, just take a couple little steps with your feet. Bring your hips back behind your heels, hands on the thighs, and then one more time, come all the way up and stand. And let's go up over the head again, straight up over the ears, or hands can rest on top of the head with the elbows wide. And again, relax your shoulders. Close your eyes for a moment. And actually, if we're going to close our eyes, let's everybody drop our hands to the top of our head so it's not so much work. Just feel into your legs. You want your body to feel like a place that it is safe to be. Very good. And then let the arms drape down and let's open those eyes again. Okay, let's do a balance. Now we're not going to do as hard of a forward balance, just a regular old balance. To see how we did. So see how we do this. All should make balance easier for us. So there's a bunch of different ways that we can do tree. Since we have our chairs out, I'll show you a new one if you want to try it with me. I'm going to put my block on my seat. Now, the old ways worked fine too. If you don't like standing on one foot, put the block down and you're going to prop your foot up on it. right? You could also do anything holding onto the wall. This version is going to be, the balance point is actually going to be on the shin. So just be careful as you get in. I've got the block on the edge of the chair. I'm going to put my heel right below my knee, and I'm going to rest my shin on the block. Now, the trick with that is getting close enough that you don't lean into it, right? You still want to be vertical here. You're not like angling over to the side. The other trick with that is, at least for my chair is a little bit weird because it's this weird yoga chair. My seat is, I'm going to turn it around so that my block doesn't keep sliding because it's sliding downhill. So let me do that and we'll try that. Okay. So anywhere below the knee, make sure the knee is not out straight from your hip. It's slightly forward of your hip. Now, as we take the weight into the single standing leg, we're going to reach into it just like we did with the wall work before. So feel inner thigh to foot, outer hip to heel. And then one or both arms can reach up over the head if you like. Remember, as you reach your arms, we try to get taller, not shorter, through the whole body. Just easy through the shoulders. Holding on as necessary, and find a still gaze point. Feel like your foot is melting into the floor. What starts to change first as you stay longer? Notice where the difficulty comes in, and it's not a judgment, just observe. And then when you decide you're done with that, go ahead and let your arm come down. And we're going to take the leg that you were standing on. So step the other foot to the floor, take the other side, and go backwards. Now it's okay if you step off your mat, just make sure your mat doesn't move. Okay, so take a step back. If you really don't want to do that, you can turn to the side and take a step back. So similar foot position to what we did before, but we're going to change what the upper body does. So turn the back foot out slightly, bend the front knee now. So this should stretch this part of the thigh, the front, and bend through the knee and push that back heel down at the same time. So your pelvis slightly turns open, it slightly turns to the side, just the tiniest bit. Okay, if you want to hold the chair, hold the chair. If you don't, bring your hands up to your heart. Find your gaze point again. This is still a balance. It's just not a single leg balance. So feel those feet grounded. If you want a little bit more, the arms can raise to the head or above the head. Again, if the arms are going to go up, get taller through your spine to help them be held upward. And then slowly slide the hands down. If you want to use your chair to help you stand forward, you can, or hands can go to hips, and you can stand back to a regular mountain position. Now again, just notice the back leg. Notice that side, what does it feel like? You might feel like you're putting more weight on that leg. Okay, now to do the other side of tree, I'm actually just going to use the wall. I'll show you one more version of it since we've got lots of choices here today. If you don't want to use the chair, you can do the same idea with your knee on the wall. Now it's the corner of the knee, it's the outer corner. So let me get my foot on the mat first. I'm just going to bring myself close enough to the wall that the outside of my knee is going to prop right there. I don't want to have to lean to it, and I don't want to be pushed away from it. It should be very natural feeling. And the heel is somewhere underneath your knee. And we're going to stand up, ground into that standing foot, inner foot, outer foot. Arms then can decide if you want to do a different position. You can hold the wall up high. You can rest on the head. Get taller, taller, taller. You can even rest on the head and put your elbow on the wall. That's a nice other connection point there. Staring at one place. How does it feel to be steady in tree pose in one leg? Take a couple deeper breaths. Listening for the standing leg, hip, or foot to start to get tired. When that happens, stabilize yourself and step the other foot down. Okay, now I'm going to turn again. Now remember which side you were standing on. That's the leg that's going to go backwards. I'm just going to turn and face my chair again. So I was standing on my right leg. I'm going to take my right leg behind, and we'll do warrior one now. So step your back foot just a little bit turned out so the outside edge of the foot can stay on the floor. Straighten that front leg for just a moment. Really dig that back heel down, and then bend the front knee. Now, as you bend your front knee, you're not leaning forward. Your torso stays pretty much upright as the knee bends. So this starts to stretch this back leg, hip, and either continue to stabilize or find another position for your arms that you like at the heart or at the head or straight up. But don't get short as the arms go up. Reach. Reach from your sides, from all the way down from the side of your rib cage. You're still balancing, you're still stabilizing yourself with your feet, still staring at one point, still remaining in that nice calm, grounded frame of mind, hopefully, or at least this is helping. And then let's bring those hands back down, and we're going to step. I kind of do a half step forward and a half step back because otherwise I'm going to hit my chair. All right, and then again, just stand and bring your feet to a comfortable distance and just do a little bouncing of the knees. Just bend and straighten. Try not to lock them. Just kind of shake out the leg muscles. Good. Very nice. Mike watches and it says it's 5 o'clock. That's not right. It says it's 11. Okay. Okay, let's come back to our seat. Sit on the edge of a chair or sit on the edge of a coffee table. Sofa works, but just make sure you don't lean back into the chair. Okay. Option here to stay with your legs parallel. We're going to do a twist. Actually, let's do this first one together with the legs parallel. So as I twist, I don't want to stabilize my pelvis. I actually want my pelvis to come with me into the twist. So we're going to turn to our rights first. You're going to let your right hip just slide slightly backwards. So your left knee goes forward and your right hip goes backward. Then let your right hand reach back to the side of the chair. Take your left arm and go up and over your head. Now, just like we did, every time the arms go up, we try to push the sit bones, in this case, into the seat so that we get taller. And then start to rotate your belly, come across your leg. You're not leaning your torso to the side, so your head stays right over your pelvis. And lift and turn the belly and turn the head and look over your shoulder. Can you close your eyes just for a moment and feel still the stability of the legs and pelvis? This nice even rotation in the spine. And the breath may feel not quite full in every area of the torso. There will be parts of your torso that feel compressed, and that's by design. Just observe. Good, and then start to just turn your head back. Keep your body there, and let's just spin the head. Look over your other shoulder and maybe draw your chin down. Does that feel good on your shoulder and the neck? If you draw the chin down to the collarbone. Good. And bring your head to level, bring your arm around. Now, get your pelvis to level too. So let the knees level out and the hips level out, and grab the side of the chair again, and we're going to come forward. Now, as I come forward, I don't want to pull the back of my chair off the floor, so I'm going to resist that by pulling with my hands and pushing back with my legs, my upper thighs, and pushing down with my feet. So there's a lot of work happening here in the lower body. Should feel like a really nice stretch on the chest, the shoulder, and the lower back, hopefully. And as you're ready to sit up, just slide the hands down, and we're going to try the other side. So we're going to let the right knee go slightly forward, the left hip and knee go slightly backward. The foot can even come with you here. We want the sacroiliac joint to start the twist for us here, so let's take left hand to the side, right arm is going to go around to the other side. and we get tall, or you can even, I think we reached up on the other side. If you want to do that again, that works too. Turn from the waist and the shoulders and the head. And then stop. Once you're in there, just let yourself stop. Find a satisfying place to stop and breathe. Can you support yourself internally, muscularly, in the twist without increasing it, without pushing yourself? That's a really tricky place to try to find. The head can come back to the front. Almost always when I do that, my shoulder has come up, so I'm going to drop that shoulder back down. Maybe the chin can dip. Feeling the places along the opposite side of your back that feel like they're doing some work. And the side of your front that you turn toward that feel kind of stretched. But still feeling stable. All right, and then if you dip the chin, bring that up, and let's bring ourselves back to the front. We'll let the body come back around, the pelvis and the legs come back around, and again, we're gonna do that little forward lean. So hold the side and lean forward. We're pulling with the hands, we're pushing with the feet and with the legs. Back into the chair. Let the shoulders be drawn down your back. A tiniest little dip of the chin here for the base of the skull. Long breath in, long breath out. And then drawing the navel in and bringing yourself back up again. You can also push on your legs to come up if you need it. Roll the shoulders backwards. Okay, slide up, maybe halfway back into the chair. Not all the way back. And if you don't have a back on your chair, be very careful. You can do this sitting. We're going to do a little bit of a back bend, but I just want you to be careful. Bring your hands behind your head and just lift up. Now, if you have a chair back, lay back against it and go up and over the chair back. If your chair back is super tall, this may not work very well, so you just do what works for you. It should not hurt. It should feel supported. Your head should be totally supported. Don't go back too far. Elbows are wide, feet are grounded. And then to come out of this position, draw your navel in and just kind of, you're almost like you're in a recliner. You're just leaning back, and we're gonna do that one more time. So push the feet, lift the chest, let the head dip just slightly into the hands, and breathe. If you cannot breathe, you're too far back. Feel that stretch between the front of the ribs. Good. And then belly, as you exhale, belly draws in, let that bring you up. And then let the hands come down. And we're just going to bring ourselves back to a normal seat and roll the shoulders again. Very nice. Okay, let's get up and get back down. Now, if you don't want to get onto the floor all the way, you could certainly rest on the sofa with your knees bent. And we'll do a couple of things there. If you do want to get down to the floor, you can make your way down. Use your chair to help you slow your descent. I'm going to bring my, I don't think I want it this direction. I'm going to turn it around the other way. Now, you don't really need to turn yours around necessarily. I just want to feel like I've got some space. I'm not hemmed in by my stuff here. So I'm going to have my legs turned toward the seat of the chair here. So we're going to do some choices like we always do. You can decide how much of this you want to do. We're going to try to do a bit of bridge position. So if you're on a sofa and you're not down on the ground, all I'm going to have you do is rotate your pelvis. You're going to do pelvic tilts and pelvic tucks. And I need to move the camera again because you can't see the floor. One moment. There we go. So those of you that don't want to lift up into bridge, or if you're not on the ground, you're just going to lay with your body in this position, knees bent, feet on the floor, and you're going to just rock and roll your pelvis a few times. Arch the back and tuck the hips. If you would like to try coming up into bridge, we're going to add some things to it. So I've got my blanket folded in a three times actually, in half, and then one more time lengthwise. We call this a long folded blanket. I'm going to lay the folded side facing back My shoulders are going to come up on this edge. My head is going to be down on the ground. Now at first, it is going to feel very strange because in order to get it in the right position at the end, we have to have it in a weird position for a few moments. I forgot, I also want to block. It's over there somewhere if I can grab it with my foot. Okay, there we go. So the back of my skull is right on the folded edge of the blanket. And it's kind of in a weird position. I wouldn't really want to stay like this. Got the block in my hand. I'm going to cinch my feet in closer to my body and lift up and take the block under. Now, since you're up on the blanket with your shoulders, you could go higher on the block on the second height if you wanted to. That's about the same distance. As the pelvis comes up, the head drops to the floor, and now the top of my shoulder is just a bit behind the edge of the blanket. It's not pushing against the back of the neck. Should feel like a very nice, comfortable place to support. Pretend like you still had those straps and blocks from the beginning of class. So remember, we had the strap between the block between the upper leg. The strap went around the leg, and what it did, it was basically holding your thighs in a parallel position. Push evenly into the feet, just gently. Your pelvis is still resting on top of that block. What you should feel in bridge is a mild stretch through the lower back, very mild. It should not be painful. If it is, you should come down off the block and take the blanket out from under your shoulders, and instead just use it as a pillow and rest on the floor. Take a moment to just bring your hands, those of you in bridge, well actually everybody can do this, and feel down the front of your abdomen. So start where your ribs stop and feel the center of the sternum, and then the ribs move downward and outward, that little edge. So let that little edge, instead of poking it up into the ceiling, which makes you arch your back and contract your back muscles, take your fingertips and slide the ribs down towards your belly button. Notice what that does. What is that? That unarches the middle of the spine. Now, when I do that, I get some interesting reactions in other parts of my torso. I feel it a little bit in my shoulder, not in a bad way, it's just different. And I feel it differently in my pelvis. Now, this is that tilt and tuck. We're just basically doing it in a very specific place. If you let that happen again, if you just slowly let the ribs pop upward into the fingertips, that's the little bit of a cow tilt, the back bend. And if you press the front of the rib cage down toward the belly button, that's more of a straight spine. So we want, for now, it to stay more on the straight side. So I just like to rest my hands there. The weight of my hands reminds me to not arch. Now, if you are like I am and your chair is right in front of you, you can also try putting your feet up on top of the chair, or if you're close enough, you can rest your legs. Now, I did not end up close enough. You can see that my calf is right cutting across the edge of the chair. That does not feel good at all. So I'm just going to rest my arches of my feet right on the edge of the chair so that my legs are lifted, but I'm not actually letting them completely relax. That also makes my block tilt just a tad, so let me adjust it. Okay. So you are now, those of you that are in this kind of a position, are a bit upside down. Can you feel it? If you're on the sofa, you can lay your legs up on some pillows or up on the end of the sofa if you'd like to get that feeling as well. So all of that work that we spent being upright, standing, sturdy, stable in the legs, now we are basically, not on our heads, but on our shoulders. So feeling the inverse relationship to gravity. There should not be any pressure anywhere. If you're getting throbbing in the head or a feeling of your heartbeat really strongly, you should come down off of your block and bring your legs back down. With your hands resting on the front of your rib cage, notice them moving with your breath. Notice if your legs get tired of being in this position, if you feel like they're starting to roll outward and you're having to hold on. If they are, can you just take your feet a tiny bit wider on the edge of the chair and let the knees roll toward the center line? That should help. Help the groins relax and the muscles around the top of your thigh relax. And as always with these poses, listening to your body. If things start to get cranky, time to come down. So I'm starting to feel it in my shoulders a little bit. So I'm just going to slowly walk you through it. You can stay and use these steps later if you aren't ready. I'm going to bring my feet to the floor first, but I'm going to stay on the balls of my feet and just lift the hips, drop lift the tailbone up and slide that block out, and very, very slowly drop your heels down, drop your pelvis down. Now the head is going to end up in that weird position again. So I'm going to kind of slide over to one side and see if I can't get my shoulder blanket under my head. So get that adjusted and then just support the head. And the chair is right there. If you want your legs to go back up on it, that would be fine. If you want to stay knees bent, or you can maybe turn a little to the side and let the legs lengthen out. You choose what to do next. If your sacrum feels like it needs some attention, rock the knees from side to side. And let's just give ourselves another minute or so here in a more neutral spinal position. So as we talked over these past few weeks about mindfulness, you know, what we started to discover is that we do have some measure of control over what it is like to be connected to ourselves internally, where what we focus on grows. So when you are feeling a little bit like things are moving quickly around you and you're not sure what's going to happen, which is, I think everybody is feeling a little bit like that right now, do everything in your power to make your internal relationship very stable and strong and positive. The way you talk to yourself, the way you talk about yourself to other people. And it doesn't seem like yoga would, you know, standing and balancing would make a difference with that, but it actually really does. What it does is it creates this sense of mastery and this sense of stability physically, which encourages that feeling of being at home in our bodies and being kind to ourselves and our mind. So take a deeper breath in and a long breath out. And when you're ready, you can start to wiggle those fingers and those toes. Just wake yourself up. Now, if your legs are still elevated, please get them down. And if your pelvis is still elevated, go ahead and get that down as well. You might feel like knees to chest and doing a little rock before you roll over to sit up again. Make sure you take your time to sit up. And as you sit back up again, you know, now that we're back in our normal upright positions instead of upside down, just kind of notice how you feel. Notice how all of these practices, they create change in our systems. So can you feel the change? And then let's bring the hands to the heart. Namaste. Thanks for sharing your practice time with me this morning.